All right, so anybody joining us right now for our blab? I'm here with AK Ikwuakor. I hope did I butcher it? I'm good. That's the name?
Yeah, Coach AK Ikwuakor. Either one.
Coach AK. So usually on podcasts, people do all the stuff where they introduce all special. I'm going to partially do that. This guy is an amazing human. We actually, last year, he invited me to be part of the board of an organization he's going to tell you about. And it's tied into his concept of understanding your value, which for him will tell you a story about it. And then we went to the Philippines and helped almost 300 impoverished kids. And I got to see firsthand like humanity. And it was amazing for me to be part of that. And it was all because this guy had this heart that is humongous. He's going to tell you about and honestly tell you also about how you can chase a dream. It's a crazy idea. You left your job recently, right, to go do this thing?
Yeah, I mean, most people call it crazy. I quit a job to start an NGO nonprofit to follow a passion. Yeah, because for me I had a job that was good benefits, good pay, free housing, free food, amazing job, and it just wasn't my purpose. So I realized if I have to live one life, I might as well live it, follow my dream, follow my passion.
I like it. I think a lot of people are in the same boat. They want it, but they don't. And just so you guys know, watching, you guys are able to, on the right-hand side of your screen or on your app, you can actually comment and talk to us. AK, keep an eye on the right-hand side. You'll see everybody. Like Lil Rose said, very handsome. She's talking to you. She said you're very handsome.
She's talking about you.
I don't know about that. But anyways, so you guys, if you want to comment there. And then also, if you like anybody's saying, there's a little thing you can give props on the person's screen. So you can tap on my face or tap on AK's face. And I can't tap my face, I realize. But anyway, so here's the question. Everybody has the same thing you talked about. They want to chase a dream. How did you chase your dream? Like what was that catalyst point that said, I'm doing this, that got you past your fears to move forwards?
I think everybody goes through this when you get sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I was at a job that, had good, amazing benefits. I was associate dean of students at a big boarding school on the East Coast. And I had a good salary, good benefits. And there came a point the year before when I went into the Philippines, where I started this organization, Empower to Play. And when I was there, I actually saw communities that lived on $10 a day, that lived in 10 by 10 houses. You saw that, Anthony.
Yeah, I did firsthand.
And when you are able to live amongst a community where they literally have nothing, but they give everything. They have happiness, they have joy, and you realize you don't have happiness in your own heart, and you have everything. It changed my whole mindset. So literally in 48 hours, I'm going from a community that lives on nothing that can find happiness, and now I'm going to a boarding school where these are some of the richest kids in the world, and they can't find happiness. And I realized that, the longer that I was in comfort, the longer that I was enjoying my job, the more that I realized I was away from my purpose in life. And I believe happiness in life and joy is the closest you are towards that purpose. So
how'd you get there?
Well, I went to my boss and I said that I'm not coming back next year. And she says, "What are you going to do?" And I said, "I don't know." And I said, "I'm willing to sleep in the gutter until I find out."
You figured out?
Until I figured out. But I realized. Say again?
Good. No, you realize what?
No, I'll say this. Back in 2009, I was waking up in the middle of the night, and this voice of just this pressure was saying, "You're supposed to be doing something more." And it was something regarding overseas and something with kids. Now at that time in 2009, I wasn't even going overseas yet. I haven't really been overseas, and I wasn't really working with kids. So in 2013, when I took a bag of footballs over to the Philippines and I did this camp, that first night, I started to break down because I started to remember that dream I had back in 2009 about my purpose. Yeah. From that point on, I realized this is what I'm supposed to be doing, and I dropped everything and I put full force in it since that time.
Makes sense. So I know, like, and this is one where I'm trying to get this clarity, because I know what you're like. I get it. Mm-hmm. And so when I talk to people, I'm trying to get everybody to get this concept of, like, how do they apply it to their story, right? Or their life. So, like, what's that one thing that you would say, hey, because I'm sure it was scary. You get, married, you have a kid, right? So you have these things in life, and there's a fear people have. Like, how would you tell somebody else to get to the point to make a decision to chase their dream, knowing they got some crazy responsibilities floating in the background?
Well, there has to be a difference between the needs and your wants. And for me, when I went into the Philippines, it helped me understand these people can find happiness in extreme levels of poverty.
Yeah.
And so I realized it's a sacrifice. If you wanted to have big results, you're going to have to make big decisions.
Yeah.
And I realized when you only have one life,
mm-hmm.
and for me, I don't fear death. I don't fear it. So I realized that the worst thing that can happen to me is death. But every single day I live fully, then I can make that risk.
Gotcha.
For some people, they die way before that, but they're still walking zombies.
So how would they get out of being a walking zombie? How would you tell them, like, this is how you become a non-walking zombie? And it's fun?
Yeah,
Life is so much fun.
I mean, becoming the walking zombie piece, it's a decision. It's a decision that we just need to, and I said it usually comes in everybody's life, right?
Yeah.
When they're sick and tired or they're just fed up, and they realize that today I need to make this decision, and understanding that it may not be easy. But if anybody has read the book The Alchemist, have you read the book The Alchemist?
I have read The Alchemist, yeah.
Right? Whenever you make this decision, I promise everybody this. If you make a decision on making a big risk on your life, doors are going to start opening up for you that you never possibly would have imagined. What the universe is saying to you, like, I just want you to take this risk. Just take it. Just make that move. And once you move it, I'm going to open a door for you. But at some point, like in The Alchemist, you have that beginner's luck.
Yeah.
Where when you first make that move, you have that beginner's luck. But once you do that, I promise you, doors are going to open up for you.
They fly up. I mean, I can attest to the same thing. Like once you move, because you don't know what's around the bend until you start walking the path.
Mm-hmm.
You just got to keep moving. So now at this point in time, you got this company's been around for X amount, because you took the first step. So what would you say is once you got going? Because some people also say I want to chase them as a fear though. I can take the first step. I have beginner's luck. Well, what if the luck runs out? What do I do to sustain? So what do you do now at this point to say, I took that step? How do you sustain that?
Okay. Well, I'm gonna give a story, along this lines.
Okay.
Right. If anybody's read the book, The 4-Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss, He has these exercises called the comfort zone exercises. Now, read book, amazing book. And in there was this particular exercise where he was telling individuals to go to a public place and lay down for 10 seconds. Now, I decided to do this particular task, and I had a whole bunch of students that I was working with to do this task. Now, I'll say this, the toughest part about any action is the decision to make the action, not actually the action in itself. So when I first assigned this task to this group of boys, it was easier said than done. And when I was about to do this first lay down exercise, lay down in this public place, this inner voice started saying to me like, no, you shouldn't do that. If you do it, somebody may see it. If you do it, maybe your boss is going to see it and he's going to fire you. Or maybe you're going to lay down and the ambulance is going to come think you're going to have a heart attack. Don't do that. And I remember I was sitting there, I was talking with my wife, and I was sitting there making this decision to lay down on the ground. And then she said, just do it. So I remember getting up, walking over it and laying down on the ground. And literally the room in my mind went completely silent. And so I was counting to 10, it was super slow. And I remember waking up, and I look up, and I stand up, and I look around the room, and the room continued as it was. Nobody even noticed. And at that moment, I got angry. And most people are like, why were you angry? And I said, because at that moment, I was like, how many decisions in my life haven't I made a decision because of fear? How many times in my life did I not make that phone call because of fear? How many times in my life did I not pursue that job because of fear? And in reality, how many times do people imagine nothing happening or the best case scenario? We always run to the worst case scenario in any situation. And when that situation happened, I said, never, ever again will I let fear stop me from taking an action.
I like it. And a lot of people don't get there. I think a lot of people sit. It's funny because I did my Facebook Live earlier on courage, which is courage past, honestly, you have to have fear, or courage has no place in being. And so that's kind of part of the same concept. So I like the expansion because that's the biggest thing. So So have you ever had this question, which is probably a simple question, is so somebody said, okay, now we got to go past fear. We got to move. Like you're sitting in this place. What have you done past that? Like once that fear in a sense is like decisions start opening up, like you've created something. Like how did that come to be? How did you take that fear, remove it to do what you do now?
If you look at fear, I look at fear as, or I would say outside of your comfort zone, we'll say instead, getting outside of your comfort zone, it's like a muscle. So you can train it. You can train your comfort zone like a muscle.
Yeah.
And an example is if you're lifting a weight, okay, and you want to get stronger, what do?
Lift heavier weights.
You got to lift heavier weights, right?
Mm-hmm.
But let's say I decide that I'm not going to lift weights. Am I going to stay the same?
Well, it depends. You can lift faster or do more reps. But yeah,
but if I don't lift at all, I'm not going to get stronger. I'm actually going to get weaker.
Yeah, not going to do anything. You're going, yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So every situation, everybody has this situation, is that when you come into a situation, and you know that feeling when you start getting all sweaty and nervous and your blood pressure starts going, in that moment of fear, you have two options. Either you can do it, or you move forward, or you don't. But just like lifting a weight, if you make that decision not to move, you've actually made yourself weaker in the situation. So the next time you are in a situation where you need to take action, you're actually reinforcing it in your mind that it's easier not to do it than it is to do it. So whenever you're facing that situation, you should actually move forward because you're getting stronger. Because if you don't do anything, you're actually getting weak and reinforcing the behavior that it's easier to quit than to continue.
I agree. I like it. I like that. I just learned something. Oh, boom. So it's a great transition to today's topic, I guess you want to call it, because the topic is understanding your value. So I think a lot of this all boils down to the concept of, for one, when I learned like my value as a human, I had less fear. Not in the sense that I had less, but I saw it differently. So how would you tell people in terms of the concept, like understanding your value as a person, as a human, and I would say also your ability to provide something to our world, like how does that correlate with fear?
Well, I mean, I would say the first important thing is you have to first understand who you are in yourself. Now, if you are, I think Tyree said it better, you cannot shine sitting on somebody else's sun.
True.
So you first have to understand who you are, and you can't be a follower, right? And I usually say this: if you don't understand your own value, don't expect somebody else to.
Ooh, that's a good one.
You know, and I work with a lot of kids, and I work at a boarding school right now. Mm-hmm. And you always have this thing about college admissions process, or you have trying to get a job. You cannot be mad if you didn't get a job if you don't even know why you stand out.
True.
So first, really look deep in yourself. Like, what do I bring to this situation? Not only financially, but right now we're having this conversation. There's something that I'm bringing. There's something that you bring. There's something that these listeners are bringing. Mm-hmm. Right? Everybody has some type of value in a conversation, in an interaction. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that's also important is understanding your value. Just because you don't know your value doesn't mean that you cannot create value.
True.
Right?
It's very true.
Right. So for example, let's say if you don't know your value, pick up a book, take a seminar, take a class. You can add value. Just because you didn't have it yesterday doesn't mean that you can't work towards it today.
That's very true, man. It's kind of, I think it boils on a lot of people. They're waiting for that validation. I get questions all the time. People say, hey, you know, how do I get a question today? Someone said, I want to be a speaker. How do I get to the place of wanting to motivate? And how do I become a speaker? You know, and I need help myself. Well, my explanation was basic is no one's gonna give you permission. You just have to go do it. Like you have to have that desire just to have that share, and you'll find your value along that path because people will tell you, hey, I value this, if that makes sense.
Right.
So, I mean, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, somebody wrote, I think it was, Duchess of Bose, and she was saying that, and in the process of finding yourself, you'll probably lose friends, so you have to be strong and prayed up through that transition.
Expand.
And, big ups to that, because when you decide that you are making this decision to improve your life, you're going to have people that aren't going to follow you in that process.
True.
If you start to build value and start to build value in yourself, people are going to be like, why are you changing? This is who I knew you as. Why are you changing to be somebody else?
Yeah, and that's a fear people have.
Yeah, and at some point you need to realize you are the average of the 5 people you hang out with.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're trying to be here and your circle of friends aren't there, then maybe you need to start making that move and find a new circle of friends.
And this happened to you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the reason why, I'll be honest, it did.
Yeah.
Because when I decided to start Empowered to Play, I was at a place that was not entrepreneurial. I was at an educational institution where they didn't see what I was doing as value. So while I was sitting there doing attendance, and on that night I'd be running and helping with this orphanage at night, people would say, "Stop doing that. Focus on this attendance stuff."
Yeah.
And what would happen is every single time that I'd bring up this idea to them, they'd always find the negatives. They'd always find the bad stuff in it. And I would say, for me, there was these 3 elements of friends that you need to be around, or these situations. The first one is, if you have an idea and you present it to a friend and they find the negatives, by the end of the conversation, you're defeated. You feel bad. You feel just like, ugh.
Yeah.
You don't feel energized. Mm-hmm. So what happened at my job then, I stopped sharing my ideas and I just started keeping it with myself.
Gotcha.
I never had it. Uh-huh. And if you read the law of attraction, or what is that one with Napoleon Hill, is when 2 minds are together, a third mind is created.
True.
And Think and Grow Rich.
I'm trying to find it. Yeah, I got it over here. I'm trying to find the books that we're pulling up. I have them floating around.
Right. So in Think and Grow Rich, it's like the mastermind principle. My problem was, beforehand, I had this group that was really negative that took all the energy out of me.
Yeah.
And so what I did is I stopped sharing with anybody, but now I no longer had that third mind that I had, that I wasn't sharing my vision with. So my ideas are only coming from myself. So what I did is I started to reach out to have more entrepreneurial type friends that were doing some of the stuff that I wanted to do. And then you started to know that when you started sharing your ideas with people that are doing stuff, they actually help you build on your ideas. And after the conversation, I was energized. I'm like, yeah, mm-hmm. You felt like you can take on the world.
Yeah, if you got the right people in the background.
Exactly. So I'm going to say, if you're going to take that risk, you got to get around people that are also doing similar stuff. Mm-hmm. Because they're going to let you know is like, I made that risk too, and look at where I am today.
Yeah.
That's I'm not going to tell you that. Mm-hmm. So get around like-minded people. You'll realize it's not that challenging to take that risk.
So where would you?
I remember.
Go. I got a question.
I'm going to tell you this about Anthony, right? I was telling Anthony, I'm a big thinker kind of guy. And I remember I was on a board call with Anthony about one of my ideas. And I'm talking about my goal is a global one. And Anthony said, stop thinking so small-mindedly. And I'm like, what? When you told me that, you told me that I was thinking too small and I'm a global thinker.
Yeah.
And so it made me start to think about like, yeah, maybe my idea is realistic. I can do it. When all beforehand, I was around individuals that were telling me, man, you can't do that. You can't go overseas and do that. They're telling me stuff that was impossible that people were already doing.
Yeah. I get it.
Yeah.
So how would you, so this is the one question I get all the time, because I tell people the exact same thing. It's like, I find you're right now across the country, literally from me. I'm in California. You're across the country, right? Boston. And so my thing is, how does this happen? How would you tell somebody to find this for themselves? Because a lot of people are watching. I'm sure you guys listening and watching right now, you probably have the same idea of like, yeah, I need to find those people. Or they're probably thinking, I have people around me that are just like you're describing. Where do they find those people? How did you find your people?
I mean, literally there's places already out there. There's meetups. Here's the biggest thing I'm going to tell you. People are always talking about, what is your 5-year strategic plan? Mm-hmm. I don't work on this strategic plan. Ever since I made the decision to take this leap, I'm not going to say it's a voice or something. There's something that's guiding me other than me. And I believe what's guiding me is the truest of myself.
Gotcha.
There's a truest of myself, and then there is this, and I know we're getting philosophical, and then there is this status quo of myself, right? There you got 2 of them, the truest of myself and the status quo. Mm-hmm. For most of my life, I've been living in the status quo. When you start living the truest of yourself and you start listening to what that says, it's like, I'm a coach. I work with athletes. If you tell an athlete, do this, and they listen, what are you going to do?
You're going to do it.
Yeah, you're going to keep on telling them to keep on doing it. But if you have an athlete, you tell them to do something, and they don't do it ever. What are you going to do as a coach?
Freak out.
You might freak out, or you can be like, you know what? I'm just not going to tell you because you're not listening.
You're not adjusting. You're not listening.
You're not listening. But I'm going to tell you, if you start to listen to that voice, and it's usually that nervous fear feeling that you have, that is your truest self telling you, this is where you're supposed to be. This is who you're supposed to be. If you just take that leap, everything's going to be okay.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like you got to trust that inner voice, because that inner voice is you talking to you saying, this is the truth of yourself. If you just follow, just trust, the path will be open.
I agree, man. I agree. And that's what it boils down to, is having the ability to listen to the voice. And I know a lot of people have that voice and they hear it. And I made an explanation today. It's kind of like being on two sides of this river, like on one side is where you're at. The other side of the banks is where you want to be. But there's rushing river in between, which is your fear. And your voice is saying, go to the other side, but you can't. You want to get there, but this rushing river, it's just too much. So essentially, I'm like, if I told you cross it, you'd think I'm going to die, which is what people like, the fear. I'm going to die. I can't get that. So I don't go. I don't even jump into the water. But I tell people, make a bridge. Like if you can make a bridge. So it's kind of that thing of, make a bridge. So if you were to say, we're like, a couple steps, what did you do to listen to your voice, to build that bridge for yourself, to start chasing and have what you have now, which is a business where you get to go to the Philippines and now Haiti to give back to these kids, and make that your life. Like, how did you build that bridge for yourself? How can someone else do it for themselves as well?
Well, there's a difference between two things. I choose and I can't. And I think a lot of people use I can't as I choose.
I like it.
Right? If you want to improve your life and you say, I just need to make this phone call to this employer, and you said, I can't do it. Like, no, you need to understand, I choose not to make that call. You physically have the ability to go into your office or your supervisor and say, I quit. Mm-hmm. The question is, you're choosing not to do it.
Yeah.
Now, you're in full control of right here, right now. You can't control the past. The past is what it is. And you can't control the future. But what you do in the present can dictate your future.
All day long. It does. Literally, that's how your future is created, is from what your present is.
Exactly. So it's what you need to come in is, you first need to test it. You need to make small little victories.
Okay.
I would say first what you can do is find something you can do every single day that can either, two things. One of them is a procrastination task. Something that you're procrastinating on a daily basis. Mm-hmm. And I want you to do that thing first thing in the morning. So write that down. This is my procrastination task. And every single day, I'm going to work on something I've been procrastinating.
Yeah.
That's the first one. The second one is something that you can get outside of your comfort zone. So what can I do today to get myself outside of my comfort zone? It might be simply just making a cold call to somebody. It might be something so small, but once you realize it's like a muscle, once you start to build it, mm-hmm. you're going to realize that you get stronger and stronger and stronger through this process. By after 30 days, if you do this for 30 days, I guarantee you will be a completely different person. A completely different person.
Yeah, I agree you can. Because now you start building this muscle you didn't even know you had. It's kind of like saying, I can't walk, but you don't realize you have legs.
Exactly.
And kind of get to that realm of like, oh, wait, I can actually do this. I think a lot of people sit back and so many people that I get messages from like literally every single day are the questions of, how do I do this? How do I chase it? It's like, I realize that you have to set a goal and start moving. And there's a lot of things that you don't know. But as you come across tasks, you find things that you don't know how to solve. But you tell yourself, like you just said, I can't, I don't know how, I can't. But the moment you say, I have to figure it out, you start learning about the things you didn't know. And now those things become things you know, and now they become strengths. So therefore, you don't have as much fear. Your muscle grows.
Right.
That makes sense? My convoluted mind.
Perfect.
I talk randomly at times. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to ask one more question. And then what I'm going to do is shoot it over to people who are actually watching, you guys all watching out there. I'm going to have you guys start asking questions until we decide to close. There's no specific time. It's just us talking. But the question I have for you is pretty straightforward. Was there ever an event in your life that defied explanation?
Defied explanation. I would say that might be two. And I would say this was the most recent one in Haiti. Now, 2 weeks ago, I don't even know if you know this story, Anthony.
I don't.
But 2 weeks ago, I was in Haiti. Now, what I do is our organization, Empower to Play, we go into under-resourced communities, and we use sports as a tool to, one, identify high achieving students as well as bring the world closer together. So 2 weeks ago, I was in Haiti, and I was supposed to go into this park called Cite Soleil in Salino.
Okay.
Now, if you go online, this is some of the toughest part of Haiti. And if anybody's been there and knows about it, say something. But it was the night before I was about to head in, and I sent an email to the board about saying, I'm going to go into this community, just well wishes, well thoughts. Mm-hmm. Now, that morning, I didn't even tell my wife about this, but I actually made a video, and this is really my will, saying, hey, I love you, my Haven, my daughter, and my family. If anything happens to me, this is what I want to happen. And halfway through it, I actually shut off the video. And I shut it off because I was like, I didn't have this feeling. I was trusting my instincts. I'm like, even though this is the craziest part of Haiti, and most people say, do not go here, even Haitians, I do not have this weird feeling. I don't have this weird feeling. So I stopped it. I left out the door. I went onto this community, and we had some of the greatest stuff happen, right? Most impactful part of this whole trip was working with these kids in this community. Now, the very next day, I was supposed to meet with this priest. Mm-hmm. And mind you, through this whole trip, I've gone to some of the toughest places in Haiti. And this next day, the priest was waiting for me to pick me up to take me to this other orphanage. And all of a sudden, I just had this weird feeling. Like, I was like, there's something that's not right. There's just something that doesn't feel okay. Mm-hmm. And what ends up happening is I told the house family that I was staying with, I was like, you know what, I'm not going. I'm not going to go. And so the priest ends up leaving, and I started to connect with the host family. Like, just tell me a little bit more about this situation, this guy. Mm-hmm. And they said that basically a month ago, there was this American woman that was helping out at this orphanage, and she was murdered. Right? She was murdered, and they're trying to find somebody else to help fund this orphanage. Mm-hmm. And for me, it was weird because for the whole entire time, what everybody says was supposed to be the scariest moment, the places I shouldn't go into, my instinct said nothing. I had no nervousness type feeling. Almost to the point I was writing a will down and said, no, that nothing's going to happen. I feel comfortable. Yeah. And then there was this one situation where everybody else said this would be safe, and my instinct said no, and I didn't decide to go. Yeah. And so for me, that whole logical reason was, I can't explain it. I have no reason why I felt uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. But for me, it's helped me teach that I no longer live for this plan. I live purposely for this instinctual level about what I'm supposed to be doing in life.
Yeah, I get that. What's funny is I had that conversation with someone today. It's I think that we have these areas where we call them gut. Anybody listening, you guys, just if you guys have questions, put them on the side. But I realize this is the gut is this thing it's our like second level of consciousness. You have unconscious in my brain. I'm making this shit up. So just as I'm going, just pay attention to me. Then you have the conscious level, I realize, right? But somewhere we're taking information in. The inflection in somebody's voice, we're taking in the way their eyes look. We're looking, what they're looking at. Are they sketchy? If they're not showing up when they use, like, are they doing something out of character? And when I realize we take that in, it just gets processed and it floats somewhere. And then we don't consciously pull it back up. So it's kind of like what I deem as like that weird gut. It's like we have that gut, just like people have a gut right now of like chase a dream, do what you did, go here, right? Our logical conscious brain saying, nah, something wrong here. But it's because the gut's saying, yeah, there's something wrong. We're just trying to get you to see it, but we shut it off. We stay up here. We don't listen to like what they call intuition, which is just us processing past, but we don't process past sometimes, which I think can be applied positively. When in your gut, you're saying, I got to do this, but your brain's saying, no, don't. But your gut's saying, yeah, it's because something came in, you read or felt or saw something, and you just didn't act on it. And then later on, regret pops in. So you made it out alive, apparently, which is good.
I'm still here.
Yeah, and that's pretty much, I love that. I love that whole concept because I think it boils down to life. And if you really look at it, it's like we make decisions every day that lead us closer to or farther from a dream or a goal, an idea, or a safety, which can allow us to keep pushing. So if you were to say one thing that you wanted to share with people, like one message, let's say this would be the last one, then we're going to open up for questions, literally to questions on the side. the one thing you wanted people to pull from this moment of time with you, because realistically, we're taking people's life, right? This is part of their life. It's not just time. What would you want them to pull from this, from what you have to share message-wise?
Okay. I would say no matter who you are, no matter where you're from, you don't need to be a professional athlete. You don't need to be a millionaire. You can make an impact on this world.
That's
yeah. Yeah. So you can make an impact on this world. Right now, I don't have it with me, but imagine this pen right here, right?
Yeah.
Is an hourglass. I don't got an hourglass with me, but imagine it's an hourglass. Now, we all have one hourglass, and that's our lives.
Yeah.
And I think when most of us, when we look at it, our hourglass is really like this, right? So cover that hourglass. Nobody knows how much sand they have left in the chamber, right? We could have a few sands left. We can have the full tube left, whatever. Mm-hmm. But all of us, we live lives like it's always full. And those words that we use is, well, I'm going to pursue that tomorrow. Mm-hmm. I'm going to make that phone call tomorrow. But heck, we don't even know if we got 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So what I tell everybody, the most important thing is this, is you don't know how much time you have left in the chamber. So every day, live today like it is your last, because at some point you may be right.
It's true.
Don't wait.
Don't wait. Don't wait. I don't wait. I don't have time to wait. All right. So, everybody watching right now, seriously, thank you guys all for watching. It's a blast. The first podcast of Renew University. So, Renew University, when we get done at some point, I'm going to send links out so you can know what Renew U is. But the whole concept is I want to give people ideas to renew self. The whole, definition of renewal is to make effective, to continue on. So for you guys, even if it's continuing on tonight or tomorrow in your life, just some idea that can be planting a seed to help you renew yourself mentally to move forward tomorrow, to make yourself more effective in life. So if you have questions for AK or for myself, on the side, you're going to see a section where you can actually just type a message in. Just type it in and ask us questions. If we don't get any questions, we'll break, let you guys get to the rest of your life and enjoy the day. But outside of that, man, any questions, let us know. We'll wait for like a couple seconds. You pop on and see what's on here. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Layra, I think I said Layra right. Last time I said Layra's name, I said it incorrectly, so I'm hoping it's Layra. I have no idea. I messed it. She liked it. I think she did a little thing. Maybe it's wrong. How to type a question. Oh, thank you, Digital Biz Dude. He's putting in there how to do it. Oh, cool. Yeah, I like it. Hey, the think tank, someone said that's deep, or the think tank said that's deep. I like that. I did. I said Layra's name right. I feel so good right now. We got Mizi Ohak. I guess we had no questions. All right, so AK, where can people find out about what it is you do, who you are, how they can help? We were just talking, we had a meeting before this, talking about the organization and what we want to do with it and more, because I'm also the vice president of the organization, so you guys know, but explain what it is, how they can get involved.
Yeah, so Empower to Play, it is really just sports diplomacy. And what it is, we use sports as a tool to bring communities together, as well as provide opportunities for children living in under-resourced communities. As Anthony was there last year, we taught 300 kids the game of American football. And what we use sports as a tool in one way, we use it to identify high-achieving students. Now, for us, we had no control what country we were born in, the support system we had while growing up, or even who our parents were. So our goal is we want to identify these students to give them educational scholarships to live their dreams. And if you want to check it out, you can go to empower2play.org to get more information. And I'm also going to put in a quick little video that I think you guys would, to give you some great information on a little bit of what we do in the comment section. Check it out. Let me see if you get that. Check that out about some of the.
Bruce World asked what country we're in. The Philippines, actually.
Yeah, we're in the Philippines. We were also, I just got back from doing work in Haiti. We're actually going to be working with some of the largest orphanages in Haiti. We're also going to be working with in the epicenter where the earthquake was, called Leogan. And that is where all of these girls that became orphans back in 2010 by the earthquake. So we're going to give them an opportunity to live their dreams this summer. And if you want to come on one of these trips, it's very open. Anybody can come on one of these trips and see firsthand and work side by side with some of these children in these communities.
Awesome. This is my jersey from the camp last year. Look, he even put my name on it. I felt special. I got a shirt that said Coach Trucks. Oh, all right, cool. So that's it, everybody. Thank you guys for watching. Anybody that wants to know more about AK, what's the website? Empower2play.org, correct?
Empower2play, the number 2play.org. You can follow also on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, all of them. Join the family.
I love it. I love it. I love it. All right, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your evening. I will be on tomorrow morning if you guys want to watch. I do it about 11 o'clock. I think 11 o'clock. 11 or 12, I have some consultant tomorrow, but I'll be on my Facebook Live. I don't have a topic yet. I'll make one up. We'll go from there. But as always, good night and God bless you all.
All right. Peace.